Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So it's been a while since I've done a workshop update video, so I'm in here today on Saturday spraying some parts on my own car, and I'm waiting for some of the base coats to dry, so I thought I would do a bit of a catch-up video. And yeah, look, I haven't been doing that much on YouTube of late, but that's just partly because, I don't know, I haven't been feeling it. And yeah, I guess one of my latest things is, if I don't want to do videos, I'm not going to, and I think they're better. Like a video that I want to do is going to be better than a forced video, if you know what I mean. I'm going to have the energy and I'm going to be a bit more excited to do it, and that sort of comes through in the video quality, I believe, and more people are going to want to watch it. So what I've got in here is my little Corolla, and I'm actually going to do a couple of separate videos on that, so I won't get too involved in it, but we've got some peelable paint going on, and I'm ultra excited about that. This is like, I've actually wanted to do the roof on my Corolla black for years, like for quite a long time, but it's a lot to commit to sand it all down, to paint it black, to then look back and say, you know what, black roof doesn't look any good on the Corolla. And then you got to sand it all back and change it back. But this way, all you do is clean it down and apply the, what they call it, a liquid wrap, I think these days. Yeah, peelable paint protection is another way you can look at it. But yeah, Halo Effects is a brand and it is awesome. I swear, it's great. We'll get more into that in a specific video, but I've also given my Corolla a full cut and polish in recent weeks. So I also used some Sonax products. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them. Some of you guys might be, but it's a German brand, and actually my uncle's friend is importing it here to Australia, and I'm really impressed with it. Like, I had a bit of a Zoom call with them, and they were basically saying like, oh yeah, it's clean and all that, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, yeah, I've heard it all before, you know. I heard all those the stories from the details. Oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread, it's going to change the industry, and then you go back to your normal stuff. But this Sonax cut and max stuff that I've actually got some of it over there for doing full buff all overs, man, it is the cleanest. Like, you don't even need to mask any of these moldings up, and like, you don't get any of that white powdery stuff through the door jambs. It's an absolute breeze to use, man, and I was blown away. I was amazed by it. So I'm actually going to do another specific video on that soon too, but yeah, we'll get more into that in later videos. But I'm really impressed with this stuff. So yeah, that specifically. So I found it's a little bit on the finer side. Like, it's not as coarse as some of the other cutting compounds I've used. Like, here at work we use 3M Fast Cuts, which is the one with the green lid on it, and for like denibbing 2000 grits, bang, it just cuts it up like that really fast. But the Cut Max I've found is probably more suited to 3000. So if you're still one of those shops that does just buff up 2000 grits, which, I mean, most shops don't anyway. I actually managed to convince my boss here, finally, I must have got him on a good day, to get 3000 grits in. So we've got them sitting out there. I'm slowly starting to build up the arsenal of 3M products out there too. So like getting all the 3M buff pads in, and I don't know, just some of the cheaper products. You think you're saving money, and you think you're saving money by just using 2000 grit instead of the 3000 grit. You think you're saving money by using the cheap buff pads, but they end up just like busting apart in half the amount of time, and it's like a false economy. And yeah, it's just like that with sandpaper. Like in this workshop here, we always use like good quality sandpapers, and yeah, it's a false economy. Like, sometimes they'll send out these Kovacs ones or the Sunmite ones, and they just bang, 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 use like half a box on a bonnet or something like that. But yeah, I actually do get some people asking like, what have you got in your trolley? Give us a run through what's on your prep cart. Now, I must give you a disclaimer, this is a mess. Like, this workshop is a flat out workshop, and it always seems like there's always someone gone. Like, there's always somebody not here, if you know what I mean. So it feels like we're always sort of like a person down, a man down. We're always trying to pick up the slack for someone not being here. And there's always just like one or two extra jobs too many. So that's my excuse for having a bit of a messy prep cart here. So I'll just go through the stuff that I've got here. Orbital sander there, that's a Dynabrade brand, they're great. 800 grit, 600 grit, 320 grit, and 400 grit on the orbital sanders, and I actually do have under here some coarser sandpapers, so sometimes I need some 180s, even some 80 grits and some 120s and stuff like that in the discs, and I keep them down here. I've got the 2 blocks. I like to use a 3M big block, so I've got the big block here and the skinny block there, and these 2 get most of my jobs done. But then I've actually also got this really handy little curved block, so you can use that side of it or that side of it. Obviously can't use that with a dust extraction, so I can get a little bit dusty around. But on that topic, I do have this ultra cheap little vacuum cleaner, and it does the job. Like, it's nothing that special. It cost me like 60 bucks or something from Bunnings Warehouse, which is just the hardware store here in Australia. And apart from that, yeah, just keep my softback sanding sponges, so 500, 800 and 400 here. Don't use the 400 so much, but they do get used sometimes. And then these superfine pads, which I've been using quite a lot of lately. These are really handy for doing blend panels, prepping up your blend panels, doing the edges. So I found myself using these superfine pads instead of grey Scotch-Brite. And I still do use grey Scotch-Brite, like on brand new bumpers. So I'll show you something. One of my favorite new things. I'll take you in the booth and give you a look at that soon after we finish this off. So this is some dark grey etch primer. That's a mid-grey, probably a mid-grey etch primer. I've got a light grey etch primer here. I've got UV primer here in the gun, and that just stays in the gun. And it actually works out quite well. That's why I put it into the suction fed gun, so if it does settle down to the bottom, it's not going to be clogging up the passageway of the paint. So yeah, any 1K products that you want to leave in the gun, I do highly recommend putting it into a suction fed gun. Now, these guns here are just ANI, ultra cheap ones. They're like $70 spray guns, but they work, they just keep working. And I've got my extension lead, earmuffs. Sometimes when you're blowing a car off, it can get a little bit piercing. I do have a black gun here. Again, that would be ideal to have it in a suction fed gun for the reason I just mentioned, but I ran out of suction fed gun, so I just put it in that old ANI R150. And then apart from that, just some basic hand tools. The ones that I use mostly, this thing here is just a die grinder. I got, again, that from Bunnings Warehouse. It was like $30, like $25 or $30, ultra cheap, but you do have to be careful. These things go up to like 22,000 RPM, whereas these rubber wheels are rated to like 5,000 RPM. So I have put the little cheater valve down the bottom, and that backs the pressure off, and it works for me. I've had panel beaters come over, like the body guys over next door. They come in and they're like, oh, can I borrow your rubber wheel? And I'm like, yeah, just be careful with it, man, don't go too fast. And they'll come back with like cuts in their faces because they've just like they've just literally blown that rubber wheel into bits, and it's gone flying all over the place. So be careful, don't try this one at home. Yeah, the general hand tools, and like this is one that I do use a fair bit, like not as much as I used to actually, like, but I'll use this, again, that's just a standard drill, a cheap drill. I think that was like a $50 drill, again from Bunnings, and I just use that to buff up a little section on the vehicle before I use the Spectro. Now the Spectro is a camera which you take a few photos of the paint, and then you plug it into the computer, and then that will search the database for the correct match to that paint. So it's a handy tool, and that's what. But yeah, the very important thing that when you're using those Spectros is that you have nice, fresh, well-polished paint, so you're getting a true reading of what the color is actually going to look like. Apart from that, yeah, just some general handy hand tools. I don't use them most of the time. Like the body guys will do most of the remove and refit on the vehicles around here. And a seam sealer gun, that's always handy to have. Sealing up the insides of panels, a couple of rolls of masking tape, and yeah, apart from that, that's Prepsol. That's straight up water for when I'm doing like wet rubbing or something, and this one here is a mixture of ethanol and water. So I have to be careful that I don't show you guys the girly photos in here. Yeah, I'll get in trouble from YouTube if I point the camera that way. But what we've got here is ethanol. That's just straight up ethanol, which is basically pure alcohol. That's basically pure alcohol in that one. And then we've got processed water. So that is water without any of the minerals or any of the impurities in it. So from what I believe, this water here will not make steel rust because it's got rid of all the minerals that cause that start the rusting procedure. So yeah, it's a really handy thing to use, this ethanol and processed water to clean panels down prior to paintwork. And it is actually essentially what this stuff here is. So in some of my videos I mentioned that I use the Sonax pre-cleaner. So this is what I'll clean the panels down with prior to spraying, the Sonax 6800. Essentially it is basically just ethanol mixed with processed water. So yeah, this is the paint system. If you're new to the channel, most people would know that this is the paint system I use, Stando Blue. It's a brilliant system. There's a few little things to know about it. And we use the Stando Krill VOC system as well. So that's a 2K direct gloss system. You use that for your solid colors. 3M PPS, they're awesome, obviously, no explanation needed. Also, we've got this big bank of color chips in here, which are really reliable. I didn't trust them for a long time where I used to work, but ever since coming here, I've I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe I'm applying the paint better than what I used to be, but this is really good stuff. So another thing that I remember saying to you guys in another video, like it was a color matching video, I found that I finally figured out what was happening. So bear with me for a second. I'll explain it to you if you've got a couple of minutes, but if you use Stando Blue, listen closely. So what was happening, right? I would use my Spectro, like I explained before. I would take a photo of this paint, I would then mix it up on the computer, do a spray out, applying it the way that you think you're meant to apply it. But this paint is so application sensitive, like I had no idea that it was going to change that much. Now I don't actually have an example here, but believe me. So you would put your first coat down pretty wet, and then you'll wait for like maybe 30 seconds or something, and then hold the gun back and then put another sort of drop coat on top of that. Dry it down, put the clear on it, and then you would continue on color matching, thinking that's what the color's gonna look like when you're done. But what I ended up realizing is that that's not always the way that it goes on when you're doing a blend. So when you're doing a blend, it gets dusted on. So what I ended up doing is putting the 2 coats on like I just mentioned, your 1 coat and your drop coat, drying that down, covering half of the card off, putting like another medium to wet coat on top of that, and then having a look at the 2 different sections on the color card, and they were way like black and white. Like I'd say 20% difference, like not black and white, obviously not that bad, but enough to be like, whoa, you're repainting that color. So what was happening is, because it goes lighter, the heavier you put it on, these silvers go lighter. So I would do my spray out, spraying it really heavy on the spray out card, having a look at the card, well that needs black, that needs black, that needs black, go in the booth. And because what's happening is, like, it's colder out here a lot of the time in the workshop, but then you've got your heated spray booth, so that first coat is flashing off quicker in the booth. And especially when you're doing a blend, you're only putting it on that medium wet, like you're not going 2 full wet coats on your blend, so you're getting the darker version, if that makes sense. So yeah, just be really careful with that. So as I say, just start playing around with it. Like, the paint reps didn't even tell me that was what was going on, and I don't even think they knew. So yeah, like, I'm not blaming them, but they better get the word out, and I don't know if they're going to, but yeah, so as I say, put a couple of coats on, cover half of it up, and then see how much of a difference it makes. So what I do these days, like, I'll do that anytime. So if there's a color chip in there, I'll look at it. If it's good, I'm really confident that I can replicate it in the spray booth. As long as you mix the color up right, I'll be able to replicate it. But if there's no color chip, which sometimes there isn't, I'll do a spectro search, do a spray out, and what I'll do is do the half-half, and I'll say, if it's anywhere in halfway in between there, or sometimes I'll say, well, that one's better, or that one's better. The lighter one might be better, so I'll know to apply it that way, or the darker one's better, so I'll know to apply it that way. So yeah, I hope that made sense to you. I hope I wasn't talking too fast. It's funny that I've actually been cutting back on my coffee consumption. I think it was interfering with my sleeping patterns, and it was just making me a little bit high strung during the days. So I've got this espresso machine at home, and it is, man, it is like high octane stuff. That's all I'll say. And I was having like 2 double shot coffees from that espresso machine, and it was too much, man. Like, so yeah, I've cut back down to 1, but that first day I actually went nothing. I had like the biggest pounding headache all day. But that was, I was gonna mention something before when we were on the topic of tools. This is, I swear, the best thing I've bought in a long time. Well, Gunny doesn't have to buy much anyway anymore these days. I'm pretty well sponsored, but and on that topic, I don't mind doing the sponsors as long as I keep it real, as long as I am honest to you guys and myself. I don't mind that, you know, that's all good. But yeah, this thing here, man, it was like 25 bucks on eBay. I was thinking, man, we'll have to do like a Gunman edition light. How cool is that? Like, mainly for buffing. Sorry, shining the lights in your eyes, but you can have a look at that. Like, it's really high powered, and you can see all the imperfections and the details. So yeah, like, I mean, the lights in the workshop today aren't even on, but sometimes you can get these little dark corners, especially over here. Sometimes you get like a little dark corner, so I'll whack this thing on, and it's just amazing. So yeah, like a little cheap but really handy thing to have for a painter. Look, that's probably about all I wanted to say. Actually, that does just remind me, these spray suits have been selling like hotcakes, and I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone who has been buying them. But you've sold us out, right? So we shouldn't be too far from getting some more back in stock. A couple of weeks away. I think they're getting like produced Sri Lanka or something like that. So yeah, they shouldn't be too far from being back in stock. So again, thanks everyone for buying them, and just hold off and we'll get some more, and hopefully we can keep them in stock this time. So yeah, all that aside, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. I hope I wasn't rambling too much. I hope you were able to follow. And until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with a Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested. All that aside, I'd just like to say a big thanks for watching, and that is enough to support the channel. But as I say, if you'd like to go the next step, then be sure to check out some of that merchandise. Thanks for watching, and until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.